Alex, I'll be blunt, could you quit the company?
Suddenly asked to resign by Bob. I was taken aback.
What?
To be clear, you're just an eyesore. If you don't quit, I might just have to end the business dealings with my dad's company. How about that?
That's because of your mistake, Bob.
At my comment, Bob's face turned grim and he started yelling threateningly.
Shut up, I didn't make any mistakes. It's all your fault. If you don't quit soon, I'll have my dad fire you.
Bob was hired just because he was the son of a client company's president. He had always been a source of frustration with his selfish behavior, but this incident was especially a headache. After much consideration, I decided it wasn't wise to oppose Bob and resolved to quit right there and then. When I got home, I confessed to my wife, Dorothy, that I was quitting my job, hanging my head in shame at my own helplessness. I'm sorry, I got fired today. Expecting a scolding, I timidly looked up at my wife's face, but to my surprise, she smiled broadly and embraced me comfortingly. That's great. Thank you for quitting. Surprised by her unexpected words, I tilted my head in confusion. My name is Alex. I am a 28-year-old employee at a construction company. My father is a well-known architect who has worked on everything from station buildings and government offices to custom homes. Growing up watching my father, I've always had a strong admiration for architecture and aspired to do the same type of work. Ever since I was little, I loved seeing the buildings my father worked on, and would spend hours poring over the many architecture books, blueprints, and photo albums at his office, dreaming of the day I could do similar work. My father was pleased with my interest and often took me to art museums on weekends to teach me about architectural styles in a playful way. I chose a high school with an architectural program and went on to attend one of the most prestigious architecture schools in the US, where I graduated successfully. During my student years, whenever I had time, I'd visit cafes, commercial facilities, and museums to study their structures and materials, compiling reports that made my peers call me an architecture nerd, but I enjoyed those times immensely. Over those 6 years from high school to college graduation, I amassed a vast collection of reports that still occupy a cherished place on my bookshelf. After graduating from university, I joined a local small construction company, where I work to this day. I chose a smaller construction company over a major one because I believed it would allow me to visit various construction sites and engage in a variety of tasks. This plan worked out well, and now I handle multiple construction projects, juggling several sites each day. Though I thought I had made a strong foundation of architectural knowledge during my studies, practical experience is something I am still gaining. It's been 6 years since I joined the company, but there's still so much to learn from the experienced colleagues on site. I have been consistently studying architecture alongside my job. Someday, I want to create a building that I have designed myself. That's what keeps me chasing this dream. I may be a dull architecture nerd, but I have someone who supports me through it all. My wife, Dorothy. Dorothy was a classmate from high school, beautiful and cheerful, and the most popular girl in the class. Of course, like many others, I was one of the many who admired her, but my determination set me apart. Right after meeting her at the start of high school, I mustered all my courage and confessed my feelings. Dorothy, I like you. Will you go out with me? She was surprised, with her face turning red, but she accepted my confession.
Really? We haven't known each other long, Alex, but why me?
It's hard to explain why, but before I knew it, I had fallen hopelessly in love with you. Dorothy, you're kind to everyone and always so cheerful. Thank you. Please, will you go out with me? I don't think many people have fallen for me as hard as you have, if I'm good enough for you. I'll never forget Dorothy's bashful smile in that moment. Even after we started dating, I was determined not to let any other guy have her. We walked to and from school together as much as possible, And even when we were in different classes, I'd find time during breaks to see her, continually showering her with affection. My friend joked about my actions, saying, "Stop being her stalker," but I was that desperate to keep Dorothy close. Also, the vast amount of reports I managed to compile during my student years was thanks to Dorothy's kindness, as she patiently accompanied me on architectural site visits, which I called dates. Dorothy didn't go to college, but said she had something she wanted to do, and started working. We continued our relationship through my university years, and 3 years ago, we happily got married. Now, she wakes up early every morning to prepare delicious, nutritious lunches for me as I work on construction sites. Dorothy is an excellent cook, practically professional. My colleagues are envious of the lovingly prepared lunches she makes, and I proudly eat them every day at noon. Once or twice a month, I forget my precious lunch, and she brings it to the site for me. One day, as I was enjoying both a happy home life and a successful career, the son of the president of a major construction company joined our company. Bob, 25 years old, was hired due to strong recommendation by President Taylor, his father and president of a client company. Bob had just become a licensed architect and needed to accumulate practical experience. With the title of a young certified architect, everyone at the company welcomed him warmly. "This is Bob, who will be joining the design department from today. Everyone, please take good care of him." "Hello, I'm Bob. I look forward to working with you starting today." Saying that, Bob gave a casual greeting. At first, he seemed humble, but once the new employee training started, his true nature gradually became apparent. As I was a somewhat close in age, I was assigned to be his trainer, but guiding him proved to be more challenging than expected. One day, I had asked Bob to prepare some design documents for a construction site, but after discovering several calculation errors, I approached him about it. "Bob, can we talk?" "Yes, what is it?" "I was looking at the documents you prepared yesterday, and there are some mistakes in the numbers here." "Is that so?" "Yes, so I need you to correct them." "Why do I have to do that? Couldn't you just fix them when you noticed? Are you trying to harass me?" He would listen quietly when taught, but when corrected or pointed out, he became emotional and argumentative, which was troublesome. "No, that's wrong. It's good for you to know what you got wrong to prevent the same mistakes in the future." I don't need that kind of thing. You know I'm the boss's son, right? Minor chores like that are for the lower ranks to handle, not me." I was frustrated by Bob's dismissive attitude and the way he scoffed at my advice. It turned out that Bob, he never missed an opportunity to remind everyone he was the son of a client CEO, was an incredibly troublesome person. Despite this, my colleagues and I tried to be considerate and teach him about the job, but Bob's behavior worsened day by day, making increasingly negative remarks that soured the atmosphere. "Bob, about the on-site training coming up." What's this about going to a site? No way. Why do I have to go there?" "Why? Because you need to learn the practical aspects of the field work as part of the training." "I don't need to. After all, I'm a future president. Besides, if you keep nagging, I might just tell my dad and get you fired. How about that?" "Fired? But on-site training is really important."
You're so persistent. Are you sure you want me to complain to my dad?
That's
Field work is something you guys do, right? I'm saying it's not my job.
I can count how many times I nearly lost my patience with Bob. He despises field work and looks down on and mocks his colleagues and senior employees. However, because he was the son of a major client, everyone treated him like a hot potato, holding back what they really wanted to say, creating a stifling atmosphere in the company. Amid the unsettling atmosphere created by Bob's behavior, the company decided to establish a project team for a particular construction venture. The job involved a major project, constructing a commercial building as part of the redevelopment of the area in front of the station. We would demolish the old building and construct a new one with 3 underground floors and 15 above ground. To facilitate access from the underground passages, extensive underground construction would also be necessary. While I was fully committed to the project team, the atmosphere turned gloomy when Bob, as requested by the president, was also included in the team. Right from the start, Bob was eager about this major project, declaring he would lead the design process. "I will handle the design, so please manage the other miscellaneous tasks among yourselves." Isn't it tough to handle the design alone? It's a breeze for me. I'm a certified architect. Oh, and let me make it clear from the start, no interference needed. Make sure you all understand that. But this is a major building design, you know. Enough, you're being annoying. If I need help, I'll ask for it, so until then, just do your own work quietly. Incredibly, he started insisting on handling the design of such a large building construction by himself. While a renowned architect had set the basic design following the building owner's preferences, and foundational blueprints were available, managing the layout and all design aspects alone was an exceedingly difficult task. Still concerned, I persisted. "The workload is going to be immense, Bob. I'm just worried about you." "I don't need that kind of concern. It's none of your business." Initially, Bob was enthusiastic about meeting with the client's company, but as days passed, he started turning pale. The building was to have a streamlined design with many custom requests from the client, such as a bold atrium with a domed ceiling at the entrance. To meet these demands, a design combining various materials was necessary, and moreover, it had to be equipped with detailed earthquake resistance measures, including base isolation and damping systems. The structural calculations required had reached a level of utmost complexity. Bob was cornered and spent all day at his desk, clutching his head, seemingly at his wits' end. However, because he had so adamantly insisted on working alone, others hesitated to offer help. Then came the day to present the finalized design plans to the building owner. Worried about any flaws in Bob's documents, I approached him. "Bob, has anyone done a final check on the design plans?" "What? Are you trying to find fault with my design?" "It's not about finding fault, but shouldn't there be a check?" "No need, just listen to my presentation. Have you managed the construction schedule and material procurement properly?" "Of course." Bob disregarded my advice and even insinuated that I and other project members weren't doing our jobs. Without Bob sharing his design plans internally, it was impossible to ensure detailed scheduling and material procurement. How could he not realize this? Project members foresaw the need for significant revisions after today's presentation, and scheduled critical meetings with associated firms for later. Bob's selfish actions were causing trouble in many ways. Frustrated, I swallowed my words, unable to confront him. Representatives from the client's company, including President Johnson, were present. Our side included project members, the sales director Steve, and the executive managing director Paul. As the distinguished members gathered, Bob began his presentation with enthusiasm. "Thank you for gathering today. This building incorporates the latest technology, enabling a streamlined facade. We've used double-glazed windows to ensure design aesthetics while enhancing thermal insulation and energy efficiency." "That's amazing. It's exciting to think about this building being constructed." "I'm honored by your praise. Now, please look at the next document. Regarding the interior, we've realized your request for 5-story atrium with a domed ceiling by using large frames and beams for support. Here is." Bob's presentation impressed a client and other project members. However, I was the only one who paled upon reviewing Bob's design and documents. "Wait, these calculations are all wrong. This won't support the space for a 5-story atrium. Major revisions are needed." That concludes my presentation. Any questions? Realizing this was my only chance, I raised my hand. "What? Alex, what is it?" Bob asked, frowning suspiciously. Bob, about the structural calculations in the document you just explained for the interior. Yes, what about it? This calculation won't support the structural integrity for the atrium. It needs to be recalculated, and possibly some design changes are necessary. I apologized to the astonished client, whose eyes widened in surprise. This kind of mistake should have been checked internally. It's like airing our dirty laundry. I'm terribly sorry for this great inconvenience. Our internal checks were not sufficient. No worries, there's still plenty of time in the schedule. By the way, how much modification will be needed now? The beam is not strong enough given its current size, so we'll need a thicker one. This might slightly alter the dome's shape into an oval, or inevitably change its height. What are you talking about? Bob, sorry, just listen for a moment. I went over to Bob and explained the calculation errors in a low voice while pointing at the blueprint. Upon understanding the mistake, Bob's face turned red and he fell silent. I'm very sorry, but I will come back another day to explain the modifications. I'll rework the structural calculations to ensure minimal impact on the proposed design. Also, if you have any comments on the exterior or interior, I'd love to hear them. My explanation managed to smooth things over for a moment. Additionally, as if seizing the opportunity, I received plenty of new requests, which meant significant revisions were in order. After the meeting, the project team members were called in by Paul and Steve and got reprimanded. For the company, it was a major project, and it was unacceptable for errors to be revealed during the final presentation to the client. Bob was also there, maintaining a nonchalant demeanor, but as soon as we left the boardroom, he completely changed. Alex, what have you done? Huh? Don't make me look foolish in front of everyone. Are you harassing me? Are you jealous of me? There is no jealousy. That's why I asked if the preliminary checks were necessary. Shut up. If you were so concerned, you should have spoken up more. I was astounded by Bob's selfishness. I did mention it several times. You were the one who said it wasn't necessary. Luckily, we still have some leeway before construction starts. That's not the point. You always act so high and mighty. It's annoying. Well, there's nothing I can do about that. This is so annoying. You should just quit the company. Excuse me. I was momentarily stunned by the excessively unreasonable demand. As long as you're in this company, I'll suspend the dealings with my father's company. It's going to be trouble for the company because of you. That's harsh. You owe this company for hiring someone mediocre like you. Are you going to repay them like this? Isn't that a bit too tyrannical? You gonna say that? Think carefully about your next move. I'm not feeling well today, so I'm going home. Take care of the revisions. And don't bother coming in tomorrow unless you're ready to resign. Or else I really will stop the dealings. With that, Bob vented his anger and went home. I was completely exhausted. Afterward, while focusing on the revision work, I received concerned glances from my colleagues. If I stay here, Bob might actually end up stopping the dealings, and our small construction firm would be in jeopardy. I decided to quit my job after much deliberation in the back of my mind while I was deeply engrossed in revision work. The revision work was immense, but somehow I managed to complete it overnight. Then, early in the morning, I submitted my resignation to my boss, Bill. Bill, who had always treated me kindly, was shocked and concerned, but after I explained the situation, he supported my decision. Then, I said goodbye to the members of the project group, informing them that I was leaving the company. I'm resigning effective today. I'm sorry I won't be able to see the building completed. That's such a shame. Please let Bob know I've resigned. That was just a tantrum, wasn't it? There's no need to take it seriously and resign. Did you hear that? It was loud enough for the entire floor to hear. The executives might have had their ears plugged. They can't say anything to Bob. I see, but what if his dad really stops the business dealings with us? That's a concern for sure. Yeah, that's why I have to do this. Thanks for everything. I packed my meager belongings into a box, dragged my tired body out of the office, and headed home. Then, carrying a cardboard box, I returned home and told Dorothy that I had resigned. I thought she would be angry about my quitting my job on my own, but I was worried. Alex, it's been a while since you last came home in the morning. I'm sorry for making you worry. Actually, I quit my job today. I decided without telling you, and I'm really sorry about that. Why are you apologizing? What? Actually, quitting your job was the right move. Thank you for doing that. Contrary to my expectations, instead of being angry about me quitting my job, my wife thanked me with a beaming smile, and I was completely baffled. To my surprise, she then smiled sweetly and shared some news with me. A few days later, thanks to an acquaintance of my wife, I was taking an interview at a major construction company. It turned out that this acquaintance was Bob's father. After graduating high school, my wife had worked in a restaurant and obtained her nutritionist certification. 3 years ago, just after we got married, she started her own lunch stand business. She developed a variety of popular low-calorie, low-carb yet filling menus, which became a big hit, especially among office workers prone to unhealthy eating habits. The business's performance soared. Because my wife packed these signature menus for my lunch every day, my colleagues were always envious. After focusing on delivery and setting up shop in a prime downtown location, busy executives and CEOs who didn't even have time for lunch started placing orders, and that's how she met Bob's father. The day I quit, while having breakfast after an all-nighter, my wife filled me in on many things I hadn't known. Mr. Taylor has always spoken highly of you. He believed that with your talent, you should be working on bigger projects at a major company. Wait, Bob's dad knew about me. You don't realize how valued you are in the industry, from winning a top prize in a student architectural contest to expanding your company's client base. Mr. Taylor was impressed. That's nice to hear. So, it seems like they were hoping your son could grow as a licensed architect by your side, but it looks like things didn't quite work out. Training him was more challenging than any project I've ever handled. So, it's probably for the best. You shouldn't languish at your current company when you could be challenging yourself at a bigger one. Mr. Taylor is really keen on helping you find a new job. Really? Wow. Thus, I was granted an interview at a large construction firm through Mr. Taylor's referral. Though we had never met, Mr. Taylor apologized over the phone for his son's rudeness. It remains a mystery how such an impressive father could have such a clueless son. Alex, we've been expecting you. Thank you for having me today. This interview is just a formality. Your credentials are already well respected. Essentially, today is about introducing you to our company. Is that so? Yes, we'd really like to have you join us. Thank you very much. And just like that, my re-employment was smoothly secured. I stepped up to a much larger construction company and worked with even more enthusiasm than before. As a result, I am very happy to be involved in large-scale projects that were unimaginable at my previous company, such as designing government facilities, skyscrapers, and city planning. Originally, I had obtained my architect's license while still in school and had consistently won awards at the annual architecture competitions, making me a notable figure in the industry. Consequently, it seems that both my classmates and professors were shocked and worried that I might have lost my senses when I chose my previous company. Until Bob arrived, it had been a great place to work at my own pace. Since then, I have rapidly demonstrated my true capabilities, being promoted to the head of design and entrusted with one important task after another. Every one of my projects has been highly regarded by both the industry and the general public, and my name has become increasingly well known. Before I knew it, I had achieved my childhood dream of becoming an architect. All of this was thanks to my wife, Dorothy. Meanwhile, my former company suffered a major blow. The last project I worked on turned into a disaster. Afterward, Bob refused to admit his mistakes and pushed all the revision work onto other team members, claiming all the credit for himself. However, repeated critical errors came to light, leading to the client's outrage and the project being scrapped entirely. At the same time, frustrated with Bob's attitude, all the competent project members reportedly threw in the towel. They found it absurd to let Bob monopolize the results, so halfway through the project, they dumped everything on him and all moved to a rival company. Losing of its skilled designers, the company's performance plummeted. Initially, Bob seemed to be puffing himself up, thinking, "Now it's my show." However, as a newborn architect with no real experience in meticulous planning, he was bound to fail, along with the company's ineffectual executives, who couldn't advise him. Their performance rapidly deteriorated. The relationship with our clients had collapsed, and the company's financial state was now in danger. The president of my previous company, Mr. Thompson, desperate about the situation caused by Bob, appealed to President Taylor for help. As a result, Bob was forced to resign. President Taylor decided to assist in the recovery of his former company's performance by providing work and workforce as an apology for the trouble caused by his son. After being ousted, Bob was placed under his father's strict supervision and made to work vigorously. I heard rumors that Bob was seen working on construction sites, looking exhausted and getting scolded by his boss. I felt that I had truly witnessed that one's actions will eventually come back around to you. I continue to diligently work at my dream job in architecture, hoping that my sincere efforts will bring even better returns as I strive in my new role at a new company.